Welcome, cherished viewers. Rebecca Lamb has finally broken her silence, exposing long-hidden secrets about what truly led to Marcus Lamb's passing. For years, the official narrative went unquestioned, but now, startling revelations have emerged that could change everything people thought they knew. What has Rebecca kept hidden all this time, and why has she chosen to speak out now? As the truth spreads, all attention shifts to Joni Lamb, whose reaction has left many speculating. Was it disbelief, outrage, or something even more profound? The Lamb family, once known for their unity and faith, now finds themselves at the center of growing controversy, and Marcus Lamb's legacy faces an unexpected challenge. The truth is out, but is the world ready to face it? Speculation about Marcus Lamb's passing has reached new heights, with fresh claims stirring intense debate. When news of his death first broke, the Christian community was devastated. As a founder of Daystar television network, Marcus was a respected leader, cherished for his preaching, faith, and unwavering mission to spread the gospel. His death was initially linked to complications from COVID-19, a loss that, while heartbreaking, seemed like an unfortunate consequence of the ongoing global crisis. But as time passed, unanswered questions and doubts began to surface. At first, the theories were whispered among close circles, hushed discussions about whether Marcus had pre-existing health struggles that had been kept private. Others speculated that undisclosed factors played a role in his sudden decline. The public was told COVID-19 was a cause, but as more information emerged, many started questioning whether that was a full truth. Had crucial details been left out? Was there more to the story than what had been officially reported? Some sources have suggested that Marcus was battling more than just a virus. Speculation swirled that he had been facing underlying health conditions for years, including potential heart issues and other chronic ailments that were never publicly acknowledged. His unexpected passing seemed far too sudden, especially given that it appeared to be in good shape not long before. Were there warning signs that had gone unnoticed? Did those closest to him have knowledge they weren't sharing? The Lamb family's quiet response in the aftermath of his passing only intensified curiosity. While many respected their devotion to their ministry and personal lives, the unusual silence following Marcus's death raised unsettling questions. Why weren't they being more forthcoming? Some began to suspect that the family was withholding key details, perhaps to protect Daystar's reputation or to prevent unwanted scrutiny. Was Marcus privately dealing with an issue considered too sensitive or controversial to disclose? Or was there something far more alarming about his passing that no one was ready to admit? Theories began to circulate. Some believe Marcus had been overwhelmed by severe stress in the months leading up to his passing. Managing a global Christian television empire like Daystar came with immense pressure, and sources speculated that the relentless demands of leadership, coupled with the burden of public expectations, may have seriously affected his health. Could the overwhelming stress have accelerated his decline? Was there a connection between his personal battles and his physical well-being? Others suggested that Marcus may have been entangled in undisclosed financial issues or facing legal troubles, and that his death occurred at a time when things behind the scenes were becoming increasingly difficult to manage. Although these claims were never officially confirmed, the very notion that the Lamb family might be keeping secrets sent shockwaves through Christian circles. Daystar, an empire built on faith, was now at the center of swirling speculation about secrecy and potential cover-ups.
We turn now to Texas, where controversial Christian television CEO Marcus Lamb has died after his battle with COVID-19. The conservative televangelist making headlines this past year after his network Daystar dedicated hours of broadcasts to anti-lockdown and anti-vaccination activists and groups. NBC News correspondent Maura Barrett has the story.
They don't even know what is in the shot.
Marcus Lamb, a broadcaster reaching hundreds of millions of people around the world and who vocally opposed the COVID-19 vaccine, died after battling the virus. He often spread misinformation on his network, which was one of the most popular channels with evangelical Christians in the country.
They're giving shots to people that are already compromised with their immune system.
And I wasn't going to cry, but
His wife announcing the news of his passing on Tuesday.
this morning at 4 a.m., the president and founder of Daystar and the love of my life went to be with Jesus.
Yeah.
His son calling it the work of the devil.
Some supporters and critics alike began to question whether Marcus had been struggling with mental health issues behind the scenes. While he was known for his dynamic preaching and commanding leadership, there were whispers that the immense pressures of running a ministry had taken a toll on his emotional state. The thought that someone so revered could have been silently battling inner turmoil was unsettling to many. If Marcus had indeed been suffering in silence, Could it have contributed to the swift decline in his health? Could there have been hidden struggles that no one had previously noticed? The media, always in search of the next big headline, quickly latched onto these theories and ran with them. Reporters began digging into Marcus's past, trying to uncover any details that might explain the circumstances surrounding his sudden passing. Investigations included interviews with former staff members, longtime friends, and church associates, leading to the emergence of even more speculation. Some sources claim Marcus had held confidential discussions with high-profile ministry figures, conversations that allegedly left him emotionally drained and spiritually exhausted. Could there have been an undisclosed controversy behind closed doors that he had been trying to suppress? Did the stress of managing personal and professional challenges play a role in his deteriorating health? As speculation intensified, so did the divide within the Christian community. Many supporters and followers stood by the Lamb family, offering their condolences and prayers during this incredibly trying period. They firmly believed that Marcus's loved ones had done everything in their power to help him, and that the explanation given for his passing should not be doubted. To them, Marcus was a man of deep faith, a respected Christian leader, and a loving husband and father. His death was an undeniable tragedy, and for some, questioning the details seemed disrespectful. However, others felt that the Lamb family owed their audience full transparency. They argued that the secrecy surrounding Marcus's passing was only fueling more speculation, and that the truth, no matter how difficult, needed to be shared. Many even took to social media, insisting that the Lamb family reveal more details regarding the circumstances of Marcus's final days. As time passed, the debate intensified, with people split between those who believed in the official account and those who suspected hidden truths. One theory that gained momentum suggested that Marcus's death was far more complex than it appeared. Some believe that the immense pressure of the pandemic, coupled with pre-existing health problems, had contributed to a significant emotional collapse. Others speculated that Marcus may have been privately struggling with unresolved personal burdens or guilt, and that his passing was tied to the overwhelming psychological weight he had been carrying. Despite the growing number of theories, the Lamb family chose to remain mostly silent. Joni Lamb, Marcus's widow, released a public statement about his passing, but it was carefully worded and offered little insight into the specifics of his illness or final days. She openly expressed her sorrow, but her vague response left many feeling that critical details were being withheld. Was Joni simply too heartbroken to reveal more, or was there a deeper reason behind her silence? As public curiosity intensified, speculation surrounding Marcus Lamb's death only continued to grow. The once unquestioned narrative of his passing was now the subject of heated debates, and the Lamb family, once regarded as symbols of unwavering faith and strength, suddenly found themselves caught in a whirlwind of scrutiny and doubt. What really happened? Was Marcus's death as straightforward as it had been portrayed, or was something being deliberately kept from the public? With each passing day, the rumors refused to die down, and even those closest to Marcus appear to have no clear answers.
My last night with Marcus at the hospital, I was taking care of him, and at around 3 o'clock in the morning, she said to me, she just looked at me in this dark room. I'm there serving, and she looked at me and she said, "Look what you have done to this family." I remember texting my mom saying, "I can't do this anymore." I told God, "You feel the pain of my heart. Me and my child are ruining this family." And I said, "I know, my God, you're protective of me. You'll get me out of here." That was my last night.
The very next day, Marcus passed away. Marcus Lamb's legacy and ministry and his marriage to Joni Lamb were deeply intertwined. As the founder of Daystar television network, Marcus had a vision to bring the gospel to millions through media, and he made that vision a reality. His impact on Christian broadcasting was profound, turning Daystar into one of the most influential Christian networks in the world. His devotion to faith-based programming and his relentless pursuit of spreading the message of Christ defined his career. Over the years, Marcus built a devoted audience, with followers who admired his leadership and his heartfelt connection with viewers. His passion and faith made him a respected figure in Christian media, cementing his place as a trusted voice. But his journey wasn't without hardships. The enormous responsibility of running a global ministry came with unrelenting pressures, and as Daystar expanded, so did the challenges. The weight of leadership, the demands of his calling, and the scrutiny that accompanied his success were constant battles he faced. Despite these immense pressures, Marcus remained steadfast in his mission to lead Daystar with integrity, striving to expand the reach of the gospel. However, the burden of ministry, combined with the relentless public scrutiny, gradually took a toll on his personal life. Throughout his career, Marcus was frequently seen alongside his wife, Joni Lamb, not just as his life partner, but as his partner in ministry. Joni had been an essential part of Daystar since its inception, and together, they built it into one of the most influential Christian networks in the world. Their marriage was often celebrated as a testament to faith, commitment, and shared purpose. Many saw them as inseparable, working in unison both on and off the screen. Joni, with her resilience, grace, and unwavering dedication, played a crucial role in Daystar's success. She was not just behind the scenes. She was actively involved, co-hosting programs and engaging deeply with the audience, just as Marcus did. Their relationship appeared to be the embodiment of a strong Christian marriage, built on a mutual mission to share the gospel and impact lives. Their family was admired, and for many, they represented an ideal partnership rooted in faith. However, like any marriage, theirs was not without its struggles. The demands of maintaining such a high-profile ministry and the pressures of public life created challenges that they had to navigate together. The responsibilities of running a global network often pulled them in different directions, leaving little space for personal connection. Still, they remained devoted to one another, standing united in their faith and commitment to Daystar. Though their marriage had its share of highs and lows, their dedication to their calling and each other never wavered. However, living a life in the spotlight brought complexities that, over time, will become more apparent.
There's something that y'all need to always remember for the future of Daystar is about the cloud of God. The cloud of God represents the presence and the power of God. And there's so many, your mother just enumerated all these great churches in the Metroplex that they used to be the number one church. But then when they didn't keep being led by the Holy Spirit, the cloud, the blessing, the favor moved on to another church.
Wow.
And we sometimes take that for granted. So if you want the blessing to continue on your life individually, on your marriage, then on your family and on Daystar, you've got to be continuously led and guided by the Holy Spirit in all your decisions, in your attitude, in the way you think.
Woo, amen.
From the bottom of my heart, for bringing Jonathan into my life, into mine and Joni's life, and to our entire family's life. Lord, he has been such a wonderful son and such a godly Christian young man. I thank you how you kept him, how you protected him.
Joni Lamb has long been a central figure in the success and legacy of Daystar Television Network. As a co-founder alongside her late husband, Marcus, she became a prominent voice in Christian media. To many, she was the embodiment of grace, resilience, and unshakable faith. Her marriage to Marcus was widely seen as a symbol of love, partnership, and a shared vision for spreading the gospel. Together, they built Daystar into one of the world's most influential Christian television networks, reaching millions of viewers across the globe. However, beyond the polished public image, the reality of the Lamb family was far more complex. While Daystar grew into a powerful ministry, the immense pressure of leading such an organization and the relentless public scrutiny that came with it began to take its toll on Joni and Marcus's personal lives. It wasn't just about managing a thriving network. It was an emotional burden of constantly living under a microscope. Joni, who had always considered herself a devoted and supportive wife, started to feel the crushing weight of their reality. The expectation to maintain a picture-perfect family while navigating internal struggles and marital conflicts became overwhelming. With time, tensions grew, and the cracks in their relationship became harder to ignore. To the world, they remained a model Christian couple, respected, admired, and seemingly unshaken. But behind closed doors, things weren't as flawless as they appeared. Joni had always been fiercely protective of her family and her ministry, but some people close to the family began to whisper about the strain that was starting to surface. Marcus, once the charismatic leader at the helm of Dyer, had become more distant, often retreating into himself and struggling with personal demons that he never spoke about publicly. Joni, on the other hand, seemed more focused on her work in the network, dedicating herself to the public side of their ministry, while the personal side of their marriage was quietly unraveling. For the Lamb children, and especially Rebecca, these struggles within the family led to a growing sense of resentment. She had spent her entire life watching her parents juggle the demands of their high-profile ministry with their personal responsibilities. At first, she admired her mother's unwavering strength and resilience. But as she matured, Rebecca began to recognize the toll that Joni's devotion to Daystar had taken on their family. The perfect image her mother had so carefully maintained started to feel less like an inspiration and more like a carefully constructed illusion. Rebecca witnessed a gradual transformation of her father, a man who had once been full of life and passion, into someone who seemed weighed down by burdens he could no longer carry. She saw Marcus retreat from family life, struggling under the immense pressure of his responsibilities. In her eyes, Joni's ambition and relentless dedication to the network had placed an irreparable strain on their relationship. This realization created a deep sense of betrayal within Rebecca. She had always shared a close bond with her father, and watching his decline was painful beyond words.
But we've given over all of our evidence over to multiple reporters, including the police department. Daystar was contacted for a comment by the journalist Friday, November 15th, and then I was subsequently fired the following day, November 16th.
Some scary things happened, being followed, private investigators, intimidation, threats. Even through all of that, things don't stop, so we felt like we had no other option but to reach out to a journalist. When you bring things to the light, things, get better. So that's what we did.
Absolutely. And, I really felt from the Lord that even though a lot of wrong had been done to me, that I was to stand firm in the position that God had called me to and to not walk away. Right now, Susie and I are at an undisclosed location because we simply do not feel safe at our home. Now, please know that not only has Julie Royce been given all of the evidence and is writing a story that will be out soon, multiple national reporters have been given all of the evidence as of this afternoon. They should be reporting some stories that will be out in the news very shortly.
We never dreamed this would be our lives. We begged God for months and months that he would take it any other route. But we have to obey in the end. And if he says, you know what, you're the ones who have to speak, it's the harder road. It would have been easy to just walk away. But if he says, I'm calling you to do this, we have to do this.
However, what cut even deeper was Rebecca's growing belief about the role her mother had played in everything. While Joni had always publicly supported Marcus, Rebecca couldn't shake the feeling that her mother's dedication to the network had taken precedence over her loyalty to the family. Over time, she began to feel that her mother cared more about maintaining the appearance of a perfect ministry family than fostering real, meaningful relationships within their own home. As the strain within the family continued to grow, Rebecca's resentment toward her mother intensified. She began to perceive that Joni's ambition for success had overshadowed the well-being of the family. Watching her father's health decline, both physically and emotionally, she couldn't help but wonder if her mother's relentless pursuit of success had contributed to it. To Rebecca, it seemed as though Joni had allowed the demands of ministry to consume their lives, leaving little space for personal connections or emotional support. Rebecca's resentment toward Joni grew as she realized that her mother failed to see the damage being done to their family. She couldn't understand why Joni didn't recognize the toll it was taking on Marcus, or how her actions were contributing to the collapse of their marriage. As Rebecca matured and became more attuned to complexities of family life, her bitterness toward her mother only intensified. She observed how Joni controlled the public narrative, presenting the family as unified and strong, even though the underlying fractures were becoming more apparent. Rebecca started to feel that her mother's obsession with perfection and her relentless desire to uphold the image of flawless ministry had come at a steep cost to the happiness of their family. She struggled to reconcile the woman she had once admired as a role model with the person she saw now, the one who, in her eyes, had played a key role in the unraveling of their family. In private, Rebecca began sharing her discontent with close friends. She felt deeply hurt by her mother's refusal to acknowledge the underlying issues within their family. Rebecca often expressed how Joni seemed more invested in maintaining her public image than in addressing her father's emotional needs. It pained her to watch her mother continue to push forward with the ministry, all while Marcus's health deteriorated. For Rebecca, the truth was undeniable. Her mother's actions, or lack of them, had been a major factor in the family's hardships. The growing tension within the Lamb family didn't go unnoticed by those in the Christian media world, as rumors began to spread. But the cracks in the Lamb's perfect image led people to question the true nature of their relationship. Some speculated that John's drive for success had created an emotional distance between her and Marcus, leading to his decline. Others believed that Rebecca's resentment toward her mother was not just about the ministry, but also about how Joan's actions had affected their family's dynamics. But through it all, Janie remained focused on her public image. She continued to present herself as a strong, unwavering figure in the ministry, always ready with a smile and a message of faith. Yet behind the scenes, the truth was much more complicated. The Lamb family, once a picture of unity and strength, was now facing the fallout from years of hidden struggles, with the wounds of betrayal and resentment festering beneath the surface. As the speculation grew, it became clear that the truth about the Lamb family, about John's role in the breakdown of their relationships, was far more complicated than anyone had realized.